idea that's been circling around my mind a lot over the last couple of days is the idea that if you can't get your thinking right in small situations, how can you ever expect to get your thinking right in more significant situations? And part of the reason I say this is because there comes a point when you recognize that each and every decision you make, there are attendant consequences for that choice. And the consequences of each and every one of your decisions will tend to reverberate, that was hard to say, far out into the future. So you don't necessarily know how a decision you make today, what kind of consequences that'll carry forward for you or for the people around you or for the people you haven't even met for that matter. So it's almost as if with the recognition that every decision matters, it's incumbent upon you to attempt to proceed forward with the decisions you make upon what you might consider firm ground. And I believe that firm ground is the establishment of the principles and values that you're going to carry into the decisions that you make and with the interactions that you have with other people. So I feel like that's one of the most worthy questions a person can ask themselves. It's what kind of principles and what kind of values do I want to stand upon, and what kind of method of interacting with people in the world do I want to carry forward. And so one of the ideas that had kind of sparked this is understanding the appropriate balance between knowing when something is worth pursuing or when something isn't worth pursuing, when to take action versus when not to take action, when to say, okay, I've been wronged here. In this situation, is it worth the time, effort, and energy I spend on trying to solve this problem? Or am I better off leaving this and almost, so to speak, casting it away? And another idea that crossed my mind concerning and tying into this is the idea concerning mistaking kindness for weakness. And I feel like a person wants to try and turn themselves into the kind of individual who, when they tell themselves, don't mistake my kindness for weakness, that there's weight behind the words that they carry. And I say that because I found that there are certain times when I'll say things to myself where I don't necessarily know if I've kind of made myself or am the kind of person who is entitled to such claims. So that's something that I've been grappling with, and a couple other ideas concerning this. I just have my notes over here, but an idea that crossed mind was to seek justice tempered by kindness. And if you're going to choose to pursue kind of rectifying or coming to a solution when conflict arises between individuals. It's asking yourself the questions: how can you address the situation without overreacting? How can you stay calm? How can you kind of detach yourself from the natural tendencies to want to escalate your emotions, or give heed to your emotions or vent out your emotions when they're better left in reserved, so that you have a much greater chance of actually resolving the conflict, which is hopefully what you're there to do. And it's also about the fact of, and it feels like it can be such a hard balance to strike, but it's also about demonstrating to yourself the fact that you aren't the kind of person who's willing to be mistreated without at least, I guess you could say, the fear that you're capable of pursuing justice, I guess you could say. If a person does choose to follow up on wrongs that may or may not have been, well, that may, I would hope, have been committed, then, like I said, doing so in a tempered way, in a calm way, in a measured way, I guess you could say. And also just seeing the whole experience of what you're going through as an opportunity to learn and grow, kind of regardless of the outcome of the situation or the interaction that you have with a person, whether it's positive or challenging. It's saying, okay, I'm developing myself into the kind of person who is better equipped to deal with these challenging, complex interpersonal conflicts, or situations, I guess you could say. And it's kind of sitting back and telling yourself, okay, like, even if the outcome isn't ideal, by going through that experience, you've gained experience in handling those kind of situations with strength and composure. And then you can then fall back on that kind of knowledge that in the future, when these situations arrive, you're going to be better equipped to be able to handle those kind of situations, if that makes sense. I also feel like two things. First, it would be, once again, reflecting on your own decisions and how you may have influenced why the situation has transpired the way it's transpired, and being completely transparent and brutally honest with yourself about any mistakes that may have come from your own part. But also, and this is where a little bit more of the complexity comes in, it's also understanding that, and I feel like, at least with me, you can sometimes struggle to differentiate between understanding when, not necessarily understanding when you've done it wrong, because I think you know, but understanding that when another person may have done a wrong, that isn't a reflection of you. It's not a reflection of you, because it's decisions that ultimately they've chosen and that they've decided to act out. So, a couple other things that I have noted here again that I thought I would briefly touch upon were to reiterate the idea that you establish firm ground upon which to stand upon in your interactions and the decisions you make and the actions you carry out by firmly establishing your priorities, the principles you wish to carry in your interactions with people, and the values upon which you wish to base the character that it is you're trying to develop within yourself. And I would say, perhaps as a concluding idea, and this was a quote that I came across, I guess I'll share this before actually speaking to it, but the moments where you feel regret are opportunities for growth, not failures. Every interaction, whether positive or challenging, contributes to your ongoing development. You can give yourself grace for learning from past mistakes while staying committed to doing better next time. You can't change the past, but you can shape the future with the insights you gain from reflection. So, I guess the ultimate question is, you're facing a challenging situation. You're going to face challenging situations in the future. What steps can you take to make sure, to the best of your ability, insofar as you're capable, of proceeding forward with, or as in a best manner as you can possibly muster, with accordance with your conscience dictates and what you believe to be right? If that makes sense. I don't know. So